Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you again. It's a little bit smaller here. As you can see, it's just me and Todd today. Bob is currently on vacation for the next week or so, I'll be praying for him and his family. Just want to kind of let you know that we met this past Sunday. Everything seemed to go really well, and there's an elders meeting tonight to determine how things are going to look moving forward. So you'll be getting an email, I'm sure, if there's any changes. As we've told you right now, this week is going to look similar, as far as we know. It looks similar to this last week, but the elders meeting will kind of iron those things out a little bit more. So we'll keep you updated on that. Also, just to let you know that this week coming up, this Sunday coming up, Impact and Surge will be meeting at the youth building at regular time. If you have any concerns about meeting, or if you'd rather not, then that's fine. We want you to feel safe. But just to let you know that we will be meeting at 6 o'clock at the youth building, back to normal again this coming Sunday. So I wanted to kind of update you on that. So today's session, I guess, is going to be a little different. We're going to move from talking so much about the virus and how to reintegrate into church life. And we're going to kind of focus on, as we're entering into summer, we want to focus on how we can be sure to not, as we get ready to go on vacation, a lot of us will be going on vacation this summer, not to drift away or not to, forget about God, I guess, during the summer. So that's kind of what we want to focus on today. And we're only going to be doing the Facebook Live once this week, and once next week as well. So we'll be doing it on Tuesday, today, obviously, and then next week at the same time. So just so you know, we won't be here on Thursday. If you tune in looking for us, we won't be here. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started? As we talk about summer and the vacations, it's really easy to begin, especially when you're getting ready to go on vacation, to start drifting away and maybe start letting things slip a little bit in your walk with the Lord. And I think some of that is because of your things change. The structure that you have usually during the year, things start to change a little bit. So Todd, why don't you just talk a little bit about that, and why you think that is, and maybe what are some things that we can do to help navigate that.
Yeah, it's a good topic, Joe, and grateful to spend some time talking about it. We just celebrated Memorial Day yesterday, and that's kind of the unofficial start of summer. And so what is it, 101 days or something between Memorial Day and Labor Day? So looking at about 3 months coming up of extra time just being outside and doing different things. And I think Joe's right. I think there's a tendency when summer hits, at least the temptation is that we can start to take a vacation from the Lord, and our priorities change in the midst of that. And I was thinking a little bit about why does that happen. I think there's a couple of reasons why that happens. One, I think, is we've been at life, ministry, jobs, work, school, since last summer. It's been probably a while since the last vacation, maybe, and so it's been busy, it's been hectic, life has been full, there's been all kinds of activities on our plate, and I think in a sense there's a desire just to kind of relax, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course. I think an additional issue with that is we live in Michigan.
Yeah.
I think there's a factor that that we don't have to deal with this so much in those southern states, and this is normal in many cases for them, this kind of weather. But we're coming out of winter, we're coming out of being cooped up. Even add to that now the whole coronavirus thing and just being cooped up for over 2 months now in our houses. And so I think you add all that together, and as we're starting summer, I think there's a tendency and maybe a temptation, and it happens every summer, it's not just unique to this summer, but I think there's a temptation to say, all right, I've been really busy, I've been really hectic, I've been cooped up, it's been winter, we've only got like 3 months of summer in Michigan anyway, so I'm going to take advantage of it, and I am going to max out my summer, I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm going to relax as much as I can. And maybe we should just say there's nothing wrong with some time down. There's nothing wrong with spending time with family, of course, we would encourage that. There's nothing wrong with a change of season and enjoying some things that we normally don't do or don't get to do outside. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So we're not in any way concerned about that. In fact, Elijah got some time away.
Yeah.
He got to get a break, and the Lord told him to go rest. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think particularly in our situation here in Michigan, summer hits, and within the church, at times there's this tendency to say, all right, I'm just going to put the church things on hold. I'm going to put the spiritual things on hold. I'm going to put God on hold. I can come back to that later. But man, I want to head up north, and I want to go camping and hiking, and I got to get outside. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But I just think that that's all the mix that's going on in our situation that can contribute to time away from the Lord.
No, I think that's really good, Todd, that you hit the nail right on the head. Now, in thinking about that and kind of, stepping back and just maybe trying to consider what are some ways that we can be more intentional about making sure that we don't allow this time to cause us to drift away. I mean, in doing all those things, like you just said, those are good things to do. I mean, I know you love to hike, and I love, do those things too. So what are some ways that we can be intentional about making sure that we don't drift away? And I mean, I'm sure they're just some basic things. So what are some ideas you would say?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's just recognizing that temptation in my heart. Like even before we get into practical specifics of here's what I need to do or whatever, I just think there has to be a recognition that within my heart, and I won't speak for yours, but I'm guessing for most people, most Christians, there's a temptation when summer hits to just want to kind of take a vacation from the Lord. And so I think there's, first of all, just a recognition of that and awareness of that, because I think what can happen, it can be a slow, steady erosion.
Oh, yeah.
None of us go into summer really saying out loud, I'm going to take a vacation from God this summer. I don't think anyone ever says that out loud and is that brazen to admit that. I mean, we're spiritual enough to know that that's not a good thing. So I don't think any of us really intentionally go into the summer thinking that, but I do think that there is that temptation within our hearts. And so I think the first thing we need to recognize is just that it's there. And if we're not careful, we can easily drift into that, So you get 2 weeks, 4 weeks into summer, you get to the end of June, and you realize I haven't spent much time with the Lord, and then, it's into July. And so I just think we have to first of all be aware of that reality in our hearts. And then I think we could talk from there just about, it's just going back to the basics, really the specifics of saying, I don't want this season of rest and relaxation and vacation and times with friends and family. I don't want that to be a source of spiritual detriment to me.
That's good.
Right? So as much as I love those times and crave those times, I don't want that to be something that's going to cause me to stumble spiritually. And so if that's the case, then I'm going to just naturally put things in place. I'm going to make sure I'm spending some time in the Word, and I'm spending some time in prayer, and I'm not abandoning church. We're not obviously the vacation police, and we're not going to take attendance this summer and tell you if you've missed 3 Sundays in a row. But at the same time, we do want to be sensitive to the fact that church still goes on in the summer, and there's still spiritual opportunities here, and there's fellowship here, and there's preaching here, and all that goes into the normal church. And so I just think that those are a couple things for me. Is number one, recognizing that tendency. Number two, just wanting to be intentional in not allowing that to happen. So how about you? What are some things that you've done?
Yeah, no, I would say that's good. And also recognizing when we talk about rest in Scripture, what is the rest, that God's talking about? Well, Matthew 11:28, Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." What is he talking about there? He's not talking about physical rest. He's talking about just the burden of, in that context, trying to keep the law. And, so that's the kind of rest he's saying, come to me, or 1 Peter 5:7, I believe it is, for anxiety, cast all your cares upon me. That's the rest that he's talking about. So when you go on vacation and you're going to rest, it's just opposite of what you need to do. If you're pulling away from the Lord and drifting away, you're going away from the rest that you need. So the rest that we need is found in the Lord. So it's just a different. You may be getting the physical rest you need on vacation, but draw closer to the Lord in those times for even more rest. Use some of that quiet time to just meditate on the Word. Use those opportunities to teach your children about creation and God when you're on vacation and those things, and just draw closer to the Lord. That way you're being rested spiritually and physically. And I think Todd hit it right on the head. You just have to be very intentional about and plan out, maybe some things, how you're going to do this here and there. And it's not all your plans are going to work perfectly, but still plan those things out and how you can, draw closer to the Lord in these situations.
Yeah, I would add to that too, even recognizing if that tendency is in your heart. Maybe it's not in everyone's heart,
right.
But if that tendency is in your heart to almost unconsciously or subconsciously think, I'm going to just really kick back and really relax well this summer, I would almost challenge that. And I'm saying this because it's what I have to do in my own heart as well, is saying, okay, if that tendency is there, what's the opposite? How do I put that off, and what do I need to put on? I need to put on actually more purposefulness in my relationship with the Lord over the summertime. So, and maybe it's almost even a recognition of I haven't been doing as well in those areas over the course of the last 6 months or a year as I have been, and this is an opportunity to draw nearer to the Lord. It's an opportunity to hide more of His Word in my heart. It's an opportunity to re-engage Him in prayer that maybe haven't been as disciplined to do. And so I think that's part of it as well, is just recognizing that this is a great opportunity to really draw near to the Lord. So I think that's important.
Yeah, good. So on that kind of we're talking about the summer here, but let's just talk about vacation in general. As we talk about going on vacation, what are some of in most families, what are the expectations, or what can vacation look like in most families? And I think if we step back and kind of look at that, you think of maybe in your family, maybe not, but in a lot of families you have long lines, maybe at an amusement park or something, or you're maybe on the other side and you just want to go out into the wilderness, and hike and things like that. You have the excitement, the anticipation for the vacation, but a lot of times in reality, when it comes down to it, when those expectations aren't met, it's just like, man, it was a horrible vacation. It's all perspective. We've all got stories of good and bad vacations. Todd, maybe you can think of one or two when you were a child, and maybe one now, of each a good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, we've had lots of great vacations, and thinking about as a kid, even just great times with the family and going out west and camping. And actually, that's really what we're doing as well now with our family. We're trying to get away and get some time out in the mountains and doing some camping and hiking. But in the midst of all of that, I mean, I can remember times in our immediate family's vacation where there's just been some sweet times of excellent family time, building some great memories, seeing some places we've never been before, spending some more concentrated time talking about spiritual things and talking about things of the Lord that we don't get to have. That's all good and wonderful, and just some sweet memories around all of that. But on the flip side, I can think of times where it's been hard. It's been opportunities for my flesh to rear its ugly head, and there's been times I've gotten frustrated with my kids on vacation. Like, we're supposed to be having fun, this is supposed to be mandatory fun for everybody, and something happens and I get frustrated, or the kids fight with each other, or something doesn't go right, and it's an opportunity to either trust the Lord or not trust the Lord. I mean, just one example, I think some of you have known this, but we were out in Colorado 2 or 3 summers ago pulling a trailer through the mountains and blew out our transmission.
Wow.
And that was an opportunity, like, okay, are we going to trust the Lord in this, or are we going to let this become a source of frustration? And so vacations are not immune from the fallen nature of the world that we live in, and vacations don't make us immune to our own sinful fleshly tendencies. So I just think we have to be aware of this, that we can go into vacations and into summer building up this great expectation of how wonderful it's going to be and all these awesome things are going to happen, forgetting that we still live in a fallen world and I'm still a sinner and I'm still interacting with people who are sinners, and I need to apply the gospel to my life, to this situation. And so we just can't really assume that now going into summer we're going to be exempt from all those things. How about you?
Is it safe to say that as we go on vacation, a key in all of that is keeping a perspective of God is sovereign? Even in your vacation, God is sovereign. So when those things happen, as Todd said, there's an opportunity. How are you going to respond to this opportunity? So I can think of the same thing. I remember one incident when I was a child. We used to go to Maine every summer. My family, my dad loved going up to Maine, so we would go there in July, I think. And my brother, who's 8 years older than me, was always picking on me. And I remember one time we went to a campground, and we had one of those campers that went on the back of your pickup truck, And we get there, and we're there for the week, and we're getting ready to leave. And my mom tells all of us, I have two sisters and a brother, and they say, stay in the camper. We're getting ready to leave. And I told my brother, I wanted to go say goodbye to my friend real quick. So I run out of the back of the trailer to go talk to my friend, and it's in the woods there. And my brother shuts the door and knocked on the window so that my mom and dad knew everybody was in the truck. They start leaving, and I come out of the woods and I see them leaving, and I'm screaming, ah! 8-year-old boy, and my brother's waving out of the back of
loving
the
every moment.
Yeah. So that was a horrible experience, but I have those memories when I was younger, and then I have memories of my family when my kids were younger, and we would go on vacation at different context. We'd go to Ludington or whatever, and I remember those times too, where we're just have this great family time, in the Word, and we're out on the lake and talking about God, and we were intentional to try to make it a family vacation, because I think the tendency sometimes can be you go on vacation and then everybody does their own thing, and I think we have to. I'm not saying that's always a bad thing, too. I mean, sometimes you do that, but we want to be intentional, I think, in making this a family vacation, building family relationships, and just seeing the sovereignty of God and being thankful for what God is doing, and what God has given us, the gift that He's given us. So, those are just some examples of our gifts. Now, what do you think? I mean, you touched on this a little bit. Well, what's the primary goal? What should the primary goal then be of our vacation as Christians?
Well, I think in anything else, summertime and vacations are an opportunity to magnify and glorify God. So I think we have to be careful that we're not going into those times expecting some selfish fulfillment of our expectations and desires. Again, nothing wrong with relaxing and enjoying some time away. Everybody needs that. But let's be careful that we don't love the creation more than the Creator.
That's good.
Let's be careful that we don't love the vacation more than the giver of the vacation. Let's be careful we don't love the downtime more than the one who gives us that rest. And so I think that's key. I think one of our goals in some time away in the summertime is just really magnifying the Lord and thanking Him not only for that privilege, but seeing His attributes in that. He's the giver, and He's kind, and He's gracious, and He's merciful, and He's blessing us with this. So it's not just the gift that we're thankful for, it's the giver, right? So we're thankful for Him and who He is and allowing us that. So I think overarching, big picture, it's 1 Corinthians 10:31. It's whatever you do, whether you're at work or at school or on vacation, whether you eat or drink, whatever you do it for the glory of God. So go on vacation and do it for the glory of God. Go on vacation, but don't leave your Bible at home.
Amen.
Go on vacation and don't leave God in church. Go on vacation, but make sure that God is still the focus of that vacation. Make sure that you're talking about spiritual things. Make sure that your hearts are right with the Lord as you spend time enjoying His vacation, or His creation. And so the focus, like anything else, is still the Lord. right? The reason we go to work is to magnify the Lord. The reason we're a part of the church is to magnify the Lord. The reason God has saved us is to magnify Him. The reason you go on vacation ultimately is to magnify Him. So don't lose that as the overall focus of what it's about. I think in addition to that, it's just you get to spend time as a family. You get to build some family relationships. You get to spend some time that you normally don't get to. And God has gifted you your family, whether it's just you and your husband or wife, or whether it's you and the kids. That's God's family unit that He's put in place in your family. So go maximize that time and enjoy building some wonderful memories with your kids and your spouse, and some time away, and enjoy that. It's kind of the book of Ecclesiastes, right? Ecclesiastes is, if God's given us, then enjoy it. So there's nothing wrong with that, but I would say just overall, don't leave Him out of that.
So basically, I mean, what we're saying here is just don't see a vacation as, don't compartmentalize it apart from your spiritual life. I mean, you don't go on, you're not going on vacation and then everything else changes. No, it's just a continuation of just a different context of you living your Christian life. And there's, the same spiritual disciplines that we're involved in here when we're not on vacation should be something we're doing on vacation. Maybe it just might look a little different. Like, we want to be praying. You have a prayer time, or the structured prayer time, or you pray without ceasing. You're in communion with God. You have a time of Bible reading. You're continually in the Word. It might look a little different on vacation, but you still need to be eating. You're still in the Word. I would even suggest this. If it's possible, visit a church when you're on vacation. Try to find a church and visit there and fellowship with other believers. There's going to be other believers there. I remember my daughter and I, when we went to Ludington, each time we'd go visit a different church there and just, see what it's like and worship the Lord. Evangelism. This is a great opportunity when you're on vacation. Different contexts of evangelism. There's different kinds of evangelism. There's cold evangelism, which is where you're talking to strangers, and then there's, I don't like the term so much, but relational evangelism, I guess, when you're discipling, you're pouring into somebody. Well, on vacation is a great time to be involved in cold evangelism, where you're seeing people that you've never met before, you'll probably never meet again. You have an opportunity to share the gospel with them, let them see your family, and just a different kind of context. So I would say be sure to be looking for opportunities for evangelism on vacation. And, service. Here's the thing. Let me ask you this, Todd. When it comes to vacation, family vacations, within the family unit, and I think whoever's watching, you probably already know the answer to this, but who's primarily responsible for the experience of the family vacation and in the direction that it goes?
Yeah, so obviously the answer to that is the father. It's mom and dad. If you're a single mom, it's you. But I think, in a family unit with mom, dad, and kids, in a Christian setting, it's the dad. It's the father who's got the responsibility. And we would commend to you an article by C.J. Mahaney. It was a blog article maybe 10 years ago on leadership and family vacations. And there's some great thoughts in there. But really, to get to the point of your question, Joe, it's dads. Dads set the tone for their families at all times, and in particular on vacations. And so I think the caution here in this is the father may have the mentality that I've been working hard and I deserve a vacation, and you probably do, so go get that vacation, but just remember that your attitude on that vacation sets the tone for how your family is going to experience that vacation.
That's good.
So it's one of those issues where if we're not careful, we can go into that just thinking, I want to get something and I can't wait to relax and I can't wait to experience this. And you get to the end of that vacation, and if that's been the attitude, what does your wife and kids think about that vacation?
Yeah.
So the issue, I think, is just dad having a servant's heart. Dad really thinking through the fact that his primary responsibility, even on vacation, is to serve his family, and to serve them well, to serve them in Christ-likeness. And so I would say your vacation will be a pleasant experience and a God-glorifying experience to the degree that Dad is walking with the Lord and serving his family.
That's good.
So that's the short answer to the question. It's Dad.
Yeah, that's good. And I like how you said at the very beginning there, it's Dad, and Mom is involved in that too. It's you are the leaders. You're the kids look to you both. And so it's very important. And I really like what some of the things C.J. Mahaney said in that article. Some of them were like, ooh, they hit pretty hard. I mean, he was saying, just one example, he was talking about a servant's heart in our vacation, and how we should, when we're on our vacation, at the end of the day, we should be so tired that we fall into bed even more tired than we are at the end of a day's work. And I was like, wow, but he said we should do that joyfully. And that only makes sense as we think of our role, and we think of where we're told in Scripture to love our wives as Christ loves the church. And we're to lead our families and serve our families. So we should have this vacation. We should be serving that to that extreme, but it should be bringing joy to us. We shouldn't do it as a drudgery. That's the key. I think it goes back to, like Todd said, your heart. If you're doing this with a heart to glorify God, and you give rest to your family, and give them a good vacation, it'll bring joy to your heart as you see them enjoying this, and they'll remember that. Rather than, there was another example, I think it was in his article he gave about, some husbands will plan this vacation to go to Disney World, and they'll spend hours standing in line, getting nothing wrong with going to Disney World. I mean, I enjoy it sometimes when my kids were younger, but they'll stand in line for hours, get sunburned, and then the dad or the mom get irritated and they're fighting. Or in the other extreme, it was you want to go to the beach or go somewhere where you can just relax, but then the dad's not leading. He just wants to relax, and he tells the kids, "No, just leave me alone. Let me relax." I think both of those extremes are something we need to watch for, and we need to have a heart of continually serving.
Yeah, I was personally really challenged by his section on studying your family.
Oh yeah,
and
good.
We'll maybe end with this one, but I was really challenged because I resonated with what he was saying. He's the kind of guy who, let me say, he says it this way. Personally, my idea of a great vacation is non-stop activity.
Yeah.
That's me.
I know.
I'll plan everything out, and it's like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. It's going to be awesome, we're going to love it.
Yeah.
And, he talks about how he got to the end of a vacation like that, and his wife and daughters were just spent. Like, it wasn't relaxing. And so, there's some people that, may just go and do nothing, and that's not relaxing for other people.
Right.
So, anyway, I appreciated his point that you need to study your family. Dads, you need to study your family. Or moms, you need to study your family and think, what's going to be the most, the best way I can serve my family? What would be the most refreshing for them, even if it means putting to death my own desires? So, I like what you said earlier, Joe. This is just an extension of our spiritual life.
Yeah.
So our job as husbands and dads and moms is to lay down our life and to deny our selfish desires. And so even on vacation, that needs to be the reality.
Yeah.
So I'm the kind of guy where I'm willing to go. Like every day we're going to do a 10 to 15 mile hike. And I've had to learn over the years, that's not the best way to minister to my family.
Yeah.
So we've had to build in some days where it's downtime and it's relaxing and we just sit and read, and I'm okay with that now because I've learned over the years that that's a service to my family. I'm not on vacation to serve myself. I'm on vacation to serve my family.
That's good.
So
that's really good. Yeah, that was, I'm sort of in the middle there. I like to be, doing stuff quite a bit, but I also, at times, there's a tendency for laziness to at times. So you just have to guard that. And I resonated where he was talking about the awareness of indwelling sin. He said something that was poignant. He said, remember that you may go on vacation, but sin never does.
That's good.
And your sin will take an opportunity that's different, that takes you outside of your normal everyday life, that opportunity to sin can come about when because in your everyday life you're putting up walls. You know where, at times what can cause you to fall into sin, and you're very aware. But on vacation you can let your guard down, and you have to be on guard, looking for those opportunities for sin. And he just pointed out, plan for, you can't plan for everything, but think about where you're going, some of the possibilities where sin, you might give opportunities for your children to sin, or your wife, or just try to think through some of those things, just so you're a little bit prepared as you go on vacation. So
that's good.
Yeah, all right, well, I think that's it. So we will be back next week. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and God bless. Lord willing, we'll see you on Sunday, and we'll have the elders meeting tonight, and then we'll email you with any updates. So God bless, and it was nice to see you again. Bye-bye.